Okay, it is Monday morning. I think it is the 1st or 2nd of June. Doesn't really matter, but bottom line is, over the last 6 months or so, since I started using my Harbor Freight 21-gallon vertical air compressor, which is actually, if you look at the book that comes with it, it's Central Pneumatics, or the actual manufacturer of this particular compressor. It's a good little compressor. A couple of things to be noted. I'm going to point them out right now. This particular compressor got a little flaky in the last 2-3 months, and then finally got to a point where it wouldn't even start. Before that, I had trouble with maintaining the pressure, and it would cut in and cut off and that sort of thing, particularly if you smack the pressure switch. Well, finally, I got tired of, after it wouldn't work, I tore the pressure switch down because it seemed the most logical thing. And I'll tell you, whatever pressure switch these people put on this thing is rock bottom, entry-level piece of crap. Will last you, if you're lucky, 1 year, maybe 6 months if you use it steady. So here's what you do. You buy yourself a better switch, pressure switch, to start with. I'm going to point this out. Now this is this gadget right here. Now you notice that this one does not have the red button on top like it came with. This one has the throw switch. Like that. Okay? That's off, this is on. It's at 125 psi right now, so it doesn't matter if you turn it on or off because nothing will happen because it's locked out until the pressure drops to about 90. That's the way this new switch is set. You can lower it or you can raise it, but remember, the manufacturer says this tank is really rated at 125, which means it's probably rated a little bit more, but hey, would you like a bunch of metal shards through you? Probably not. But you know, there's another gadget. This is a single phase, so you hook your incoming power line to a couple of posts, I think, are down here, and then the two wires, the the black and white, go up here to go to the motor. So you have the incoming black and white from the power. You don't hook up. You can hook up the green to ground, but on mine they actually didn't have the ground wire on the plug. But I hooked it up anyways. And then the motor is grounded to the opposite ground, and they're all marked inside, and inside the cover gives you a pretty good schematic of what goes where. So if you're not sure, check it out. Black is power, okay, hot. White is neutral. Green is ground, okay. That's the code if you want to know what it is. Over here they had a polyurethane, trace this line here, okay? Had a polyurethane, thick-walled plastic tube that went, this is your high pressure kickoff switch, and goes over to your new pressure switch. On the old one it was underneath. On the new one I didn't like the length I had because I was getting some crimping. So I looked online for stuff. I went to the auto parts place, and I went to hardware, and I tried a couple of things, but basically this line that you see here, up here, comes right off the head of the compressor. This is the main compression line. Comes down, follows it down, and it goes to the tank right here. But then it splits and comes off and follows that around and goes to your pressure switch. Okay? So, if you want to feel something hot on your compressor after you use this line here, even if you don't feel it outside initially, it is hot inside. And that was what was happening. This particular plastic material, which is kind of dumb anyways, was getting soft and blue basically. So I probably didn't have the high temperature rating that the original stuff they used, but let's get logical here now. Which would you rather have, a plastic tube or a copper tube, okay? And this is much sturdier. The only thing you got to be careful of is that you don't crimp it, you don't bend it. Not a real big deal, but this particular fixture over here, I'm going to show you this, okay? This was what was in there before. It's threaded so it fit inside this piece right here. and the inside is not threaded, because that was where the black tube went through, and then there was a little compression fixture here so that when you screwed it in, it caused the compression right here. So I got a gender changer basically, and I'll give you the specs on that. That's just show you right here. Compression adapter. It's LFA-22 by watts, 1/4 inch times 1/8 MIP, internal 1/8 inch MIP, okay? So that's what I used for this junction right here. The interesting thing was, even though the threads measured the same, 27, I still had to use one of my oh, I'll show you what I have. It's one of these things I've had forever. You use it when you need it, and here's what it is. It's a 40 piece tap and die set. So I took the 27, or the one that is screwed in the best, nice and snug, and I had to tap it basically to get it down to the diameter where I could thread it in about 6, 8 threads, because it's a pretty long junction here. Once I had that in, then I just hooked up the straight piece of copper tubing. And by the way, this is 1/4 inch copper tubing. And again, from Lowe's, back off here so you can see it better. It's item number 25028. Soft copper, 141/40D times 2. Handy length, it says. Item number 636-380-467-9814. Okay? I'm assuming that's probably the full barcode. But anyways, there's what it is right there. Not in focus, but there you go. That's what it is. That's the copper tubing. And I had a little piece left over. I purposely made some generous bends here, so if I ever had it shortened before, I could probably get away with shortening it a little bit again. The final pressure fitting was on this connection right here that you see I'm pointing to. That I had originally used with the black tubing that I bought, but it didn't work, so it had already been compressed, so I couldn't use it with the copper tubing. So I got another compression fitting that fits on that, and that item is number made by Watts. It's called underline LIG and compression nut, and the compression ring is built into the nut, so they're all one piece. They don't come apart. So you just push your tube, your copper tube, once you've got it the shape you want it, through this thing and let it stick out about 1/4 inch, and then screw it on here and tighten it up. This thing fired right off, no leaks, nothing. I did put some pipe dope on it, and I also put the cowling on here to make sure that it would clear before I made my big bends, just, you know, for here, say, and here, and then again here. And what I used to make the bends was I took this vitamin bottle and just held the copper around that and free-formed it. You know, you can see the size of it, so it fits in the palm of my hand. It gives you that kind of a curve, you know, particularly here where you're coming down to it, see? You get the idea. So this is one of the compression fittings that I took off. It was down here in that piece. So this is a gender changer from one size to the same size compression nut and same nut that you actually use up here for 1/4 inch. So the whole thing is much sturdier. One other thing I might add is I read on a YouTube video, not unlike mine, but didn't have anything to do with this particular thing. But they mentioned that this guy who uses compressors for a living, okay, he's a painter probably, whatever. But one of the things he made statement that he made about Harbor Freight is you're dealing with an inexpensive compressor, which is going to take a little bit more care and updating. One of the things you do is you always drain it periodically with no pressure on the tank to make sure you drain the water out of it, because you're going to have rust in there and it's not going to last if you don't. And the other thing is this compressor basically is an aluminum machine, okay? And one of the things he noted that he put the new oil in there when he first got it, and he ran it steady for an hour, and then he stopped and drained all the pressure off and disconnected it, and then took the plug out and drained the oil, and what he found was very fine aluminum shavings. That's probably not all that unusual with break-in. When you break it in, you can break it in on a lower pressure, like 60, then increase it gradually, and then back off, and then go back up on high speed. So you're going to get a little bit of the low, and then a little bit of the high, but you don't do it constant. Just constant time maybe, but lower pressure, higher pressure combination to take it easy on that piston initially, and on the rings too. And then after the hour, then you drain it, like I said, and then you replenish the oil to 30 ounces, I believe it is. The statistics on the pressure switch that I bought, the one I had before had a red button right on the top here, okay? Its rating wasn't nearly as good as this. This is considered a heavy-duty switch, and I'll give you the stats on it and where I got it from. I got to straighten out the paper here. This says here, I'll just read it to you, and you can look at the compressor while I do. This is quantity item number 171-0689-25609, okay? I got this off of eBay from a guy by the name of UPE, Up Group. His address is 2402 Battle Forest Drive, Southwest Marietta, Georgia. It's here in the U.S. Now, this particular item is a LEFO, L-E-F-O-O, pressure switch control air compressor, set at 90 on the low end, 125, 4-port, heavy duty, 26 amp, okay? Cost of this thing was $10.99, okay? And shipping was $8.54. No sales tax, so the total was $19.53. Now, I actually called this gentleman up, and he answered at his 800 number, which, by the way, is 800-543-3174. And, you know, it doesn't really give the number out, but I got it by going through eBay and under the advanced button and getting his personal statistics and what have you, and called him up, and the 800 number rang, and he answered immediately, and he was very informative and very kind, and he does have a tech who can answer your questions, but basically you can find all the information on nice videos just like this one. Really, the switch was easy to install. You have to break down this whole, I've got an air filter here and an oil filter in front, so your items get oiled as you go. You don't always use it in all applications, but when you're using power tools and that sort of thing, you do. And right now this is shut off. I just open it up to the line. And I have a little air leak right here, which I'll fix with some tape. But other than that, everything's solid. Everything from here back, no leak. I knew about that leak, but it wasn't important. Let's see what we're reading now. It's down here on the gauge. We are reading, looks like about 100. So if I just leave this open, it'd probably drain down and fire up here. They're your off switch that works when you're working within pressure tolerances. So, just to let you know, and by the way, I was just demoing it here to show you that how it works and everything, but you don't want to run this compressor without the cowling on it, because this fan is pushing air this way and it's going to blast it back over the compressor head. So you want to make sure that you have your cowling on when you run this puppy, because compressors generate serious heat irregardless of what some people think, and it's important to keep them maintained. Last thing I'm going to do is change the oil, and then I'm also going to drain the tank, and then we'll be good to go for probably the rest of the year. Thanks for watching. This is G. Wooster, that's GWOOSTER at Comcast.net. Signing off. Hope you enjoyed.